RedBox to shut down after parent company files for bankruptcy reports. And if you're like me, then RedBox kind of came out of nowhere and then was absolutely huge for like 3 or 4 years and then slowly kind of faded into irrelevancy. And presumably they were popular for such a short time because they filled a very small market gap that was left by Blockbuster after they went out of business, but had not yet been filled by Netflix, which was still becoming the streaming giant that it is today. And before we talk more about the rentals and the streaming industry and what this means for everyone, including the big players like Disney Plus and so on, let's get the specific details. RedBox is shutting down after its parent company, Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment, filed for bankruptcy last month, according to multiple reports. More than 1,000 employees will be laid off, and thousands of those once familiar Red DVD kiosks and streaming services will be shut down, according to the Wall Street Journal. In its bankruptcy filing, Chicken Soup for the Soul disclosed that it owed millions to over 500 creditors, some of which include Sony Pictures, Warner Bros., Walgreens, and Walmart. As of March of this year, the company had about $414 million in assets and nearly $1 billion in debts. Shares for the company have fallen more than 90% over the past year. And the 90% over the past year seems pretty bad, but it's actually worse when you look at it, because if we go over here, Chicken Soup for the Soul, which is the parent company that owns like Crackle, RedBox, and then it has some other branches as well, and we go 5 years, it's down 98.78%, and if we go all time since they went public in 2017, they're down 99.19%. And honestly, looking at this, you're probably not surprised. You've got Netflix, Disney Plus, Warner Bros., Hulu's, etc. They're all taking over the DVD rental market because streaming it straight to your TV is just so much more convenient than going out and paying $2 or $3 for a single rental. And this is easy to back up if we just look at some data. This is the media mix of DVD rentals, sales, streaming numbers, and so on in billions of dollars. So $6.4 billion. And then in 2016, it went to $7.4 billion in digital sales, rentals, and SVOD, which is a streaming video, $8.6 billion, $10.2 billion, $12.7 billion. As you can see, the digital side of it keeps going up year after year, and then the DVD sales, people buying physical DVDs, has been going down year after year, and people renting DVDs was already a very, very small percentage of this, but it's also been going down year over year. So digital is going up almost exponentially, and this is 2019, so presumably it's continued to go up at about that rate, and basically everything else is going down. But the interesting part of this is that this model right here of digital sales and digital streaming or subscription-based digital streaming may or may not be actually profitable. And you very possibly could be fooled into thinking that it is profitable when you see headlines like this. Disney Plus just became profitable for the first time, a positive sign for streaming TV. In a much needed win for Mouse House, the Walt Disney Company has announced that its Disney Plus streaming service has become profitable for the first time in its history. Disney made the announcement when it revealed its Q2 2024 earnings before the bell this morning. With it, the company beat its Wall Street promise that its streaming division would be profitable by September. For its Q2, Disney's direct-to-consumer entertainment division, which includes Disney Plus and Hulu, had an operating income of $47 million, reports Reuters. That compares to a loss of $587 million in the year-ago quarter. And as good as this sounds, and maybe you're an investor in Disney and you found this to be great news, so you bought some more shares, this is actually kind of more or less a lie. If we scroll down here just a little bit, we can get some more details about the fact that they're not being completely honest in this big flashy headline. What about ESPN Plus, which is part of the Disney Plus bundle now? You've got Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. And if you read this, then it kind of contradicts what we just read. However, not all of Disney's streaming endeavors are yet profitable. As CNBC notes, while the company's entertainment streaming revenue rose 13% in the quarter to $5.64 billion and $47 million in operating income, that's only when you exclude ESPN Plus streaming service. ESPN Plus subscribers declined 2% to $24.8 million during the quarter, and when you combine ESPN Plus service with Disney Plus and Hulu, the company's streaming business has an $18 million loss in Q2. However, Disney CEO Bob Iger said in a statement that the company, quote, remains on track to achieve profitability in our combined streaming businesses in Q4. So they're not profitable. And not only are they not profitable, but they've been taking out companies that were previously profitable. The DVD rental and traditional home media sales of purchasing physical discs or whatever, that industry actually was profitable. And it was kind of not that bad for consumers. But then the streaming industry came along, undercut everything thanks to a ton of venture capitalists, billions and billions of dollars of venture capitalist dollars and IPO and so on, and was able to undercut that market entirely. And now that market basically doesn't exist anymore. However, even though that market doesn't exist and streaming has basically all of the dollars that were going into physical media, we're still not seeing streaming be able to be profitable like traditional media was. And this issue extends beyond Disney. It's kind of a industry-wide issue. Hulu and Disney Plus are losing subscribers as the streaming industry struggles to turn a profit. A new report shows the key is figuring out the churn problem. Only 3 US video subscription services have managed to turn a profit in the 17 years since Netflix launched the streaming revolution. Netflix, Hulu, and most recently, Warner Bros. Discovery. One reason is that the streaming video services have done a terrible job at keeping subscribers. In the last 4 years, the weighted average churn rate for US streamers has almost tripled to 5.5%, according to a new report from the streaming analytics firms Eneta. In 2023, that meant that although the streaming services gained 164.7 million gross subscribers, they also recorded 140 million cancellations, leaving them with a net of 24.2 million new subscriptions. On top of that, gross subscriptions are slowing down. Subscription growth fell 10% year over year in 2023, down from 21.6% in 2022. So worldwide, streaming services only added 24 million new people. Everyone else that each streaming service got was because someone canceled Netflix and signed up to Disney Plus for a few months, and then canceled Disney Plus for a few months while they signed up for HBO. Realistically, the industry is not really growing very fast per se. People are by and large just kind of jumping between services, and you can probably guess why. The golden years of streaming are essentially over. There are too many players with too many exclusive titles, and prices are being increased every year, and a lot of people are just sick of this new system and are giving up. It's not worth the cost just to watch the movies. And it's not that people aren't watching the movies. People are just choosing different, less legal methods to actually do this. Disney Plus and Hulu are losing subscribers as people flock to piracy sites. Piracy sites visits surged in 2023, topping 229 billion visits. Streaming was supposed to kill media piracy. When services like Netflix and Spotify first pop up, they offered subscribers access to thousands of movies, films, TV shows, and songs, all ad-free for a relatively low monthly fee. But visits to media piracy websites were on the rise in 2023, according to a new industry report by data firm MUSO. And as piracy shoots up, streamers' subscriber bases are dropping. Services like Disney Plus and Hulu are steadily losing customers, with paid subscriptions down by as much as 7% by the end of the year. Changes in piracy consumption and in the streaming landscape can explain the reported uptick in the practice, which has cost the U.S. entertainment industry between $29 billion and $71 billion a year. Quote, "It is hard to get people to pay for something that they know that they can get for free," says Michael D. Smith, a professor of information technology and public policy at Carnegie Mellon University. A shift from free download-based piracy to streaming-based piracy, he added, can mean that consumers are visiting piracy sites more often and have access to the same media. MUSO recorded 229.4 billion visits to piracy websites in 2023, an increase of 6.7 from the previous year. TV accounted for most of the visits, 104 billion, up 4% from 2022. It was followed by film at 29.6 billion visits, an increase of about 7%. Music piracy saw the highest growth in media pilfering, a 13% increase, with 17.1 billion visits in 2023. And this is easy to understand why. For $7 a month in the early days, you could get access to basically any movie ever you could want to watch. Netflix became easier and more convenient and more legal than piracy, so there wasn't really a need to do piracy anymore. But then you have this issue where piracy gets easier and better because you now don't have to download sketchy things where you get viruses. You can just stream it for free. So as piracy gets easier and better, you are at the same time having streaming services getting harder and more complicated and worse. And this is in pursuit of profits, as companies are essentially screwing over consumers. And then as they're screwing over consumers trying to make more money, they have a surprised Pikachu face as people turn to piracy as a solution to the fact that they feel like they no longer have control or options or availability for the media that they used to consume at reasonable prices. Now, before we go into the bigger picture and the more macro things that this has to do with, I would love a subscription if you enjoy this kind of deep dive into the news. I post 2 to 3 times per week. So streaming service companies like Netflix, Disney Plus, Max, so on, kill rental companies like RedBox and Blockbuster and replace them with something that is initially better, to be fair, but then as time goes on, they steadily get worse. So what is the solution? And it's really simple. Non-exclusivity. We have this weird thing in streaming where any one movie is usually only available on one platform. But it's one of the few industries where this actually happens. Movies, for example, are shown in a variety of theaters. It doesn't matter usually who made the movie, it is shown in basically every theater, and there's always one in a theater near you. Music is the same way. You can look up the same song on Tidal, on Apple Music, or on Spotify. It'll be there on all of them. Videos are the same way. You can find the same video that is on YouTube. You can find it on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, on YouTube Shorts. You can find it on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere else that videos are shown, Vimeo maybe, you find other video. But for some reason, movies are a platform where we have decided to draw the line that they must all be exclusive on whatever platform they're originally put on. The best way for streaming to get better and more affordable for everyone is for movies to be non-exclusive. Every movie is available on every platform. That way companies have to compete on other real things like price or ease of service or customer service or better original content or basically something else besides just having bought out the licensing rights to movies that you want to watch, so you're forced to sign up to their platform. Now, obviously this won't happen because then companies would actually have to compete on a fair playing field as opposed to having these localized media monopolies that they currently have, and heaven forbid that the shareholders lose a little bit of money on the way for to consumers having a better experience. Thanks for watching.